This podcast was recorded on Gadigal land.
We would like to acknowledge the Gadigal of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay our respects to elders both past and present.
Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Welcome to High Stakes,
The podcast about the famous feuds, frenemies, and falling outs you've forgotten about. I'm Maddie Bogish.
and I'm Laura Marcia, and we are two Sydney-based journalists obsessed with all things celebrity gossip. But before we get into the beef, Maddie, how's your week been?
My week has been gorgeous. I am currently dog sitting for my friend Belle.
Oh, yes.
I'm dog sitting for little Mr. Wolfie. He is I want to say Labradoodle. Lots of people are like, what's the breed?
He's a little guy, though.
He is a little guy. He's
not-
very little.
He's a little fried chicken dog. You know when they're like got the curly, soft fur and they kind of look like fried chicken?
Yes. When I get out of the shower and my hair's kind of wavy, we look the same. He's got a beautiful blonde coat. It's quite wavy.
He does. And he's also got very long eyelashes. Like you sent me a photo the other day and I was like, that dog's more beautiful than I'll ever be.
No, he's got such, and you see so much of his eyelashes because he just sits and stares at you. I don't know if anyone else's dog does this.
Mine does.
He's obviously not my dog, but he will sit and I will send a photo to Belle, his owner, my friend, and I'll be like, oh, him and I are just hanging out on the couch. And she's like, is he just staring at you? I was like, yes. He won't stop. He's very protective over me.
Aw.
I think he thinks I'm his girlfriend.
Well,
I know, lucky
Wolfie
me.
bagged a 10.
I mean, I've never seen a man so excited to see me as what I have Mr. Wolf. So
Oh, that's why I love dogs. No, my dog Hank does the same thing. He's a little Boston Terrier to paint you the picture, and he's a weird dog, and I love him so much with my whole heart. But he just stares at me, and it gets really annoying when I'm like on the couch watching Below Deck or a movie or whatever, and he's just standing there staring at me, and I'm like, okay, he's been fed. He's all good. He's got everything he needs. So what's the deal?
he loves his mum.
Well, he does love his mum, but I'm like, what do you want? Do you want attention? He probably wants a butt scratch.
A butt scratch, like on the top, not like a whole scratch.
Oh, absolutely not a whole scratch.
Are you worming your dog?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
But also, when you say butt scratch, I can't believe you were like, yep, butthole. Yep, put these nails in the butthole. No, I'm talking like around his butt part, like his little leg. Oh,
Oh, sorry about that.
You're
anyway,
fucked.
moving on. How's your week going? And I will ask you this time because we have had some feedback on a couple of episodes ago when people were like, why didn't Maddie ask how Laura was? I actually did ask how she was, but she ran her mouth really hard about something she's not allowed to talk about. And our beautiful producer slash podcast mum,
Podcast
Lauren,
Chris Jenner, Lauren.
Yeah, Lauren.
Centennial World, Lauren.
cropped it out because old mate keeps running her bloody mouth.
I'm sorry. No, I talked. Okay, because this is what happened, right? I had personal in real life beef. And so I decided to talk about it. It was like with a reality star who kind of confronted me about articles that I'd written about them. But they came to my office and did so. And it was like, it was a whole thing. And I went in, I said names, I said everything, and I gave too many details.
Far too many details.
So just know I have beef with an Australian reality star, and I can't say more than that because I'll upset podcast mum.
But we will say he's an enemy of the pod. We're putting him straight on the grill.
In the bin, on the grill.
On the grill. Yeah.
On the grill.
In the bin also. We burnt him.
We burnt unnamed Australian reality star on the grill.
On the grill.
Okay, love that. But otherwise, my week's been good.
Good.
So one of my favourite podcasts came back this week. Well, one of my favourite non-centennial podcasts came back this week. It's called Normal Gossip. As you know, we're gossips, right?
Yes.
This
Big ones.
podcast, big ones. So this podcast, Normal Gossip, is like anonymous gossip that's one person telling another person, and you can write in and they'll just share the story. It's like storytelling, and the other person kind of feeds back on what they do in that situation. It is my favorite podcast because I'm one of those like psychopaths who I love running listening to podcasts. So when I saw it came back, I was like, baby girl's going on a 10K because it's perfect timing. And I just had the best time yesterday. The sun was out, I went for a run, and it just makes it so much more enjoyable.
How long are the eps?
40 minutes, 45? So it was really nice.
Is it kind of like Everybody Has a Secret?
Yes, but I think it's a bit more storytelling.
Okay.
That's what I like about it. And it is very kind of like conversational with really fun guests and people.
Oh, I love that.
I think you would love it.
I do love gossip. So.
No, totally. It's so up our alley. And I also just think it's like if you like high stakes, you'd like normal gossip.
Oh. So how do we reverse pitch ourselves to the listeners of Normal Gossip? Come listen to our podcast too.
One time ages ago, because I've been like a fan from the get-go, I like DM'd them once and I was like, hey, if you ever want, before it became a big deal, I like DM'd them and I was like, if you ever want someone to talk on the podcast, I'd love to chat. I'm a gossip monger from Australia because they're American.
Okay.
I got no response.
But you know what? That offer is still open.
Oh, absolutely. Normal Gossip, please. No, I love them. I just think everyone who listens, is this our first recommendation?
I think so. I don't
Okay.
have any recommendations, but that's a good one.
No, that is a good one. But
Normal
no,
Gossip.
it was definitely a highlight of my week that it came back for another
love
season.
that.
Thank you, Normal Gossip.
Do I have any recommendations? Oh, actually, I'm still avoiding the White Lotus finale like the plague.
You haven't seen it
Haven't
yet?
seen it. It's
Stop
by the
this.
time this comes out, it would have been 3 weeks since
It's
the
like a
finale.
month by the time. Yeah.
Yes, and I can bet my bottom dollar that I have not seen that. I'm refusing.
Why?
Because I saw one meme about how Rick probably needed to go to therapy, and I was like, I know I could go off of what happened. I kind of just assumed, and then I messaged my friend, and obviously this is a spoiler, but obviously Amy Lou Wood dies.
I'm not going to confirm nor deny.
Yes,
However,
so I'm
there were
refusing because
many.
if I can't see it, it doesn't happen.
There were also many theories surrounding this whole thing. You should watch it. It's a really good finale.
I'm refusing.
Is this just like for your own? Why?
Yeah, I don't want to see her die.
Okay. Well, just so you know, Amy Lou Wood is alive.
No, I know.
And she-
oh, yes, sorry. Her character, Chelsea.
Yeah.
Imagine Amy Lou Wood's dead.
You've even been reporting on all the drama that's like allegedly going on between her and Walton Goggins.
Yes.
So you're just doing all that.
Yes.
Okay, so the ending makes that feel even more poignant.
Oh, do you reckon that's why they did it?
Did what?
Unfollowed each other. Blocked each other.
No, I think you need to see. We can't have a proper conversation until you've seen the finale.
Oh, okay. Well, I might have. But you know what I did actually watch the other day was It Ends With Us. Because again, another thing we keep recommending and talking about because we're so wound up in the
haven't
drama.
seen it.
I honestly don't bother. Sorry. It just wasn't. I watched it and I was like, oh, okay. And look, I think maybe those types of stories, I'm not a huge Colin Hoover fan.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Me neither.
I think it ends in a nice way.
Well, now I guess that ends with us. Should we get into the beef?
Absolutely, we should.
How good
I
was
love
that transition?
so much.
I cooked with that. I cooked with that.
She did.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Well, today we're chatting about the online feud between Miley Cyrus, Mandy Jiroux, Selena Gomez, and Demi Lovato, which all went down in 2008. Did you know about this one?
I had absolutely no idea until we started researching. I knew nothing about it.
I knew everything because I was sitting at my bloody, what are those big computers called?
Computers.
Desktops?
Yeah.
We are stupid.
Oh, God.
I was sitting at my desktop computer with a dial-up, investigating what was going on, and I think it was a big deal for me, as it was almost every other 13-year-old that had access to Disney shows, not necessarily Disney Channel, because they
Yeah.
also aired on Channel 7, I believe.
Well, I didn't have Foxtel. The only Disney show that I actually watched was, no, there were two. Lizzie McGuire, a bit older than this one, and Hannah Montana, because that was on Channel 7. But all the other ones, like Wizards of Waverly Place, I never have seen.
Well, strap in, baby. We're in for a bumpy ride.
Click, clack.
So there are a lot of moving parts for this story, and as a result, we'll keep the intros short because, let's be honest, all the players are quite mainstream.
Except Mandy.
Oh, yes. No one really knows Mandy,
No,
but that's okay.
I don't really know Mandy.
all
We'll
right.
get onto it. We'll get to it.
Yeah. To keep this quick, we're only going to give you the context up until the feud itself, even though Selena, Demi, and Miley have all stayed in the public eye long after this all went down. Chances are you are fairly well versed in their lore anyway, especially since tabloids have literally never stopped covering them. So let's dive in. On one side of the ring, we have Miley Cyrus and her best friend at the time, Mandy Jiroux. So our first key player for this story is none other than Miley Cyrus.
Hell yeah.
So Miley Cyrus was actually born as Destiny Hope Cyrus on November 23, 1992 in Nashville, Tennessee. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw indeed.
And she's the daughter of country singer Billy Ray Cyrus and his wife at the time, Tish Cyrus. Her nickname, Smiley, eventually became Miley, a name that she legally changed in 2008. And her upbringing was far from ordinary, with country music flowing through her veins and a family deeply entrenched in the entertainment world, all thanks to her dad, Billy Ray. At the age of 9, Miley landed her first acting gig on the TV show Doc, and in 2005, she auditioned for the role as a friend in the Disney series Hannah Montana.
You get the best of both worlds. Chill it out, take it slow. Then you rock out the show.
To be fair, I think I butchered that.
Me too.
That's all right.
First time. We'll get better as we go
We
along.
will be singing this more. But the bigwigs at Disney decided that with her incredible singing and acting skills, much better than ours, she was more suited to the lead role as Miley Stewart, a regular teenage girl who led a double life as a pop star, Hannah Montana. And Miley's life mirrored her characters, balancing fame with the struggles of growing up in front of the public eye. Plus, her real-life dad, old mate Billy Ray, played her father on the show, making it a bit of a family affair. And while Hannah Montana was a big deal for Miley, it was also a very big deal for Disney Channel as well, drawing the highest ratings on the entire channel. In fact, the show arguably peaked right before this feud took place. The most viewed episode of the series aired a year prior in August 2007. The episode, titled Me and Mr. Jonas and Mr. Jonas and Mr. Jonas, was viewed by a massive 10.7 million people.
Great name. 3 Jonas Brothers?
I think it might be.
Oh.
And as you would have so beautifully guessed, Laura, the episode featured the Jonas Brothers. Well, look at that.
I'm really good at contextual clues. Like, if there's one thing about me, it's that I'm good at
Contextual clues when they're laid out in a script right in front of you.
See, I was being facetious with that joke.
Anyway, more on the Jonas Brothers later.
But no, I think if there's one thing we can learn, it's that Miley is very, very cool and we love her. Mm-hmm. But that's one key player down in this story. Next up, we have Mandy Jiroux, who is the most unknown person in this saga.
Imagine being referred to as the most unknown person in a saga, though.
At least she's being referred to. Like, she's part of it still.
That is true.
Legacy?
Did someone say legacy?
So Mandy Jiroux, whose full name is Amanda Michelle Jiroux, was born on December 15, 1987 in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw indeed. And she wears many hats as a singer, a dancer, an actress, a choreographer, and a DJ.
She's so busy.
Busy girl. Most notably, though, she was a member of an all-female group called BG5, which was short for the Beach Girl 5. And that was alongside Brooke Allison, Noreen Delano, Laura New, and Dominique Domingo. And this band was managed by our favourite momager, Kris Jenner.
Oh, you're doing amazing, sweetie.
You're doing amazing, sweetie. I love her. So Mandy began tapping those toes at just age 3 and then toured around the world before landing a gig as a backup dancer for none other than our girl, Miley Cyrus, in her Hannah Montana Best of Both Worlds tour. We get the best of both worlds. Chill it out, take it slow, then you rock out the show. Yeah, so as we've heard... Anyway, so as we've heard from our artists repeatedly, touring can be really rough. Being away from your friends and family for so long definitely takes a toll, but it is also an opportunity to create like a new kind of family. And that's exactly what happened between Miley and Mandy. The two became super close, but I will note that Mandy was 5 years older than Miley at the time.
Is 5 years when you're 16 and the other person is 20, 21? Is that weird?
I mean, I think if it's like a big sister kind of relationship, maybe not, even though there's a lot of growth that happens in those times. Like when I worked at Macca's or McDonald's for our non-Australian listeners, I was a little bit older because I was like going through uni and I was there for a while and we had lots of like younger people and I definitely took on like a big sister role for a lot of like 16, 17-year-olds who'd come to me for like little advice and things here or there. Totally. So that was kind of nice. But definitely I wouldn't ever say they were like my friends, you know? But no, in this situation, Mandy did kind of take on a older sister role with Miley. And I think when you're away from home and things like that, that could be quite nice. It kind of changed a little bit when Miley and Mandy took to YouTube to release their own show called The Miley and Mandy Show in 2008. And this was a silly little channel which contained videos by the besties. And at the end of the day, just watching Miley Cyrus as a kid telling dad jokes with a little side fringe just shows that like child stars are still just children at the end of the day, which is nice. But at this time, some pretty crappy things happened to Miley as well. And part of it, of course, was about a boy.
Boys ruin everything.
Agreed. Around the time Miley was in full tour mode, she was also dating fellow Disney Channel golden child and one of the Jonas Brothers, Nick Jonas. So while these boys weren't Disney stars in the same sense that Miley was a Disney star, they were signed onto the Disney-owned record label Hollywood Records. And their breakout album was The Jonas Brothers. And on that was The Year 3000.
Song slaps.
Yeah, did you know it was a cover?
No.
It's a cover.
Oh, who was the original?
I think it's Busted. Let me check.
Well, we can tell which one's more popular, can't we?
Yeah, but I only know this because I sang it on SingStar as a kid. In The Year 3000 by the Jonas Brothers, there's that line that's like, my great-great-great-granddaughter, she's doing fine. Whereas in the Busted one, my great-great-great-granddaughter is pretty fine. So Jonas Brothers, you know... I think they made a good change.
They really cleaned that up.
They cleaned it up.
Good on them.
Great song nonetheless. For reference, Miley and Nick's love story began on June 11, 2006 at a charity event where they shared a hug and, according to Miley Cyrus, in a 17 interview, they became boyfriend and girlfriend on the very day they met, which is bonkers.
It would just be so much easier if you could become boyfriend, girlfriend with someone after one hug.
I'm sure you could walk around the streets where we are and just be like, you want to be my boyfriend? And give someone a hug and they'd say yes.
Come at me, I'm ready.
Well, you heard her. But no, I think, it's pretty of an era, of this like Disney era, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yes, so Miley and Nick's puppy love is in full throttle. Good for them. So who'd have better open for the Best of Both Worlds tour than her boyfriend and his two goofy brothers?
Do you think this kind of sounds like that meme and it's like, you can go, you just have to take your brother with you?
Yeah, I think that's Kevin's whole career.
Ooh, burn.
Take that, Kev. He's actually my favourite. He's my favourite Jonas brother.
Yes, we've spoken about this.
Have we?
Off mic. We both agree that he's the best one. Anyway, the dreams of like a happy Jonas Brother and Hannah Montana tour kind of was very short-lived. Sadly, towards the tail end of Miss Cyrus's tour, things started to get messy for Nick and Miley. And rather than sneaking kisses backstage, which would be ideal in this situation, they're instead bickering and their relationship is on the outs.
Bummer.
And this wasn't the only hardship Miley was facing at the time. That same year, a teenager hacked her MySpace account and ended up leaking photos of Miley in her bikini, which is very yucky, and we are not going to cover it because she was a child. But we will say the creep shared another round of bikini selfies not long after the initial leak. These were allegedly intended for her then boyfriend, Nick Jonas. Of course, this all led to the discourse that Miley was slipping at the top, and then rumours began swirling that Nick Jonas had moved on from his relationship with Miley with fellow Disney star and our next key player, Selena Gomez.
Womp womp. Now it's time for some background on Selena. Selena Marie Gomez was born on July 22nd, 1992 in Texas, USA.
Yeehaw.
Yes. To Mandy Jiroux and Ricardo Gomez. Like Miley, Selena began acting fairly early on, scoring her first role on Barney and Friends from 2002 to 2004. However, she really hit the big time in 2007 when she was cast as the lead in Disney's Wizards of Waverly Place, which followed a family of, well, you guessed it, wizards living in the human world.
You really would have never guessed that.
No, I know. I got to make sure it's clear for our audience.
It's about wizards.
While Wizards of Waverly Place didn't have as many episodes in the most watched category as Hannah Montana did, the show and in turn Selena was a huge, huge hit, winning Alma, Gracie, Imogen and Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards in both Australia and the US, which is huge. It's also not female names, as I first thought when I was researching this.
When we were reading out the script, she goes, "Who are Alma, Gracie and Imogen?"
I did. But I figure if I'm having this issue, you might too. So,
and she's always looking out for number one, the listener.
I'm number two. Okay, so during this time, Selena was also best friends with another Disney Channel up-and-comer named Demi Lovato. And let's just do some fast facts on Demi. So Demi was born on August 20, 1992 in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Is a yeehaw relevant here? Yeehaw.
I think so.
Yeehaw.
I think that yeehaw is relevant anywhere that's not New York and LA.
Perfect.
My really out-of-touch
And
Australian
Alaska.
perspective. Yeah, and Alaska.
That's like a brr.
A burr. Absolutely, okay. Correct us if we're wrong. What other noise can you make? Wait, for New York, it's, hey, I'm walking here. No?
That sounds about right.
Or is it Boston? Look, you know what? It's okay.
We'll never know.
Anyway, it's worth noting here that Demi identifies as non-binary, and after a process of finding which pronouns fit their gender identity best, they've decided on they, them, and she, her pronouns, so we'll be using both in reference to them throughout this episode. So Demi also gained fame at a young age, cutting her teeth on Barney and Friends, yes, with Selena, before scoring a role in Disney Channel movie Camp Rock in 2008, where she played the lead of Michi Torres. Now, I love Camp Rock. I love Camp Rock so much.
I just love the Disney knees.
I love the Disney twos. I watched Camp Rock like 2 weeks ago.
In preparation for this?
Yeah, well, that would be a stretch. I watched it because I was like, I haven't seen Camp Rock in a while.
Camp Rock.
And it was the best. It was the best. So that's a recommendation. Watch Camp Rock if you haven't seen it in a few years. It really slaps.
Also, we should note here, it also stars the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah.
Anyway, less about Camp Rock.
Sorry.
In 2008, Demi and Selena were also filming their first movie together, Disney's Princess Protection Program.
I haven't seen that.
No, me neither. But it's about princesses, I've heard.
And being protected.
And there's a program, maybe? Anyway, the girls were obviously in each other's pockets a fair bit, and in an interview with People, Selena told the publication that the pair enjoyed doing everything together, and that includes creating the Demi and Selena Show on YouTube. Their first video was titled Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez Vlog Number 1 and was posted January 30th, 2008. The girls took to the platform to thank their followers before teasing that they would soon be releasing a Disney Channel original movie together, which was, of course, the Princess Protection Program. Following their first episode, the pair later posted a vlog, which we think has since been deleted, but there is obviously still evidence of this around. And this isn't just any old vlog, it is the vlog that will start the domino effect for some high school coded drama.
Hell yeah. Should we roll the clip?
Roll it!
Roll it!
Yo. Yo, yo. Yeah, I said it twice. Got a problem with that? Wow.
So, I got this really cool shirt today, and it made me want to give a shout out to my boys.
Who's that?
Power Rangers! Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait a minute. Are you ready?
It's Morphin time!
Yes! I love Power Rangers. I've always wanted to be the red one, and that's a boy, but I don't care. I like that color.
I wanted to be the pink one, which is ironic. Ironically enough, because now I'm in all black.
Yeah, so that's 20 seconds of a 2-minute clip. And as you heard, it started off with the girls shouting yo at the camera a few times before getting into a pretty random conversation. Selena showed off her Power Rangers shirt, Demi chatted about their makeup being too dark, and they even joked about Demi recently closing the gap in her teeth. I'm assuming with braces?
Yeah.
Like
Maybe celebrities do something
bashing
else.
it into submission. They concluded the video by promising their fans that they will be posting more in the future. So really, it was just a lighthearted moment between the two teenage girls who just happened to be extremely famous. While many Selena and Demi fans were loving their content, others not so much. And among those unimpressed were Miley and Mandy. The two went on to post their own video, seemingly mocking Selena and Demi's vlog. And oddly enough, it seemed to come out of nowhere. Do we want to roll this one too?
I think so.
Roll it.
Yo!
Yo, yo. Yeah, I said it twice. You got a problem with that?
Yeah, I do. You don't know why?
Why?
You got a gap back.
I got it fixed.
You had a gap back in the day.
I got it fixed.
Miley and Mandy kicked off the video in the exact same way, shouting yo at the camera before having a very similar conversation about makeup, teeth, and t-shirts. But instead of referencing a Power Rangers shirt, Miley opted for the Ninja Turtles. So I guess it wasn't too on the nose.
I guess.
I mean, what are you going to say? Still, with the constant giggling and copying, the intention behind the video felt pretty pointed. On top of this, I can't remember if the description of this always read Selena and Demi parody, but it does now, and the internet just knew there was some beef between the two camps.
Yeah. I mean, this is my first time watching these videos because, you know, I've heard about the beef, but like this wasn't my beef, you know?
It was my beef.
It was your beef.
Yeah.
So watching this as an adult is kind of shocking. Like they're taking the absolute piss.
They are.
Also, Mandy, 5 years too old to be doing this with a 16-year-old.
Right?
Making fun of other 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
I just think that that's a bit shit.
No, I agree. And it's quite interesting you say that because obviously I was 13 at the time watching this and I was like, oh my God, I felt so... It was weird because I obviously loved Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
In a very child adoring fan type way. And when I saw her do this, I feel like I lost a little bit of respect for her almost. I was
I
like,
get that.
oh, I don't know. Like, she's just a mean girl. And of course, like, kids are mean.
Yeah.
So that's fine. But also Mandy being 5 years older should have known better.
See, to me, that's the biggest thing that sticks out because I'm like, you're 20 years old. You're an adult, baby. That's crazy behavior.
Right. Anyway, the type of reaction I had is kind of nice to read almost that a lot of other people had this sort of reaction.
Right.
Last year on the For Moi subreddit, discussion around this saga cropped up again after a user posted the video writing, when Miley and Mandy mocked Selena and Demi's video, history was made. It's true. History was made.
It's true. Look at us. We're chatting about it.
Obviously, we thought we would use this as a moment to read some of the funniest comments. The top response read, "This video had me distraught as a child. My empathetic ass was in tears because Miley was being mean. Skullface. I cried like she was making fun of me directly. Haha."
Does that resonate with you?
Yes, absolutely. I was shook to my very core.
Oh.
And another user wrote, "At the ripe age of 12, this was the ultimate tea for me back then."
Well, I love that because it's the ultimate tea for us right now.
It's so true. We are no better than 12-year-olds.
No. Anyway, there was definitely a lot of speculation around the feud at the time. And you might think that Miley and Mandy threw shade for no reason, but over the years, people have come to believe that it was partly due to their respective relationship with Nick Jonas. When I say their, I'm just talking about Miley here. Mandy didn't really have a relationship with Nick Jonas. She's just siding with her friend, I'm assuming for clout. Anyway, moving on.
Amen.
Yes. Earlier that year, Selena was spotted skateboarding wearing Nick Jonas's Elvis Costello t-shirt. So we could maybe assume that Miley was just a little bit hurt because of their breakup and then seeing, another woman wearing the shirt of her ex-boyfriend. It all makes sense. Mm-hmm. But after Miley and Mandy posted the video, we didn't hear too much about the girls' alleged beef for some time. And I'm sure, like any high school drama, the girls were keen to move on from it, especially because Miley was still being absolutely hounded by the press over the leaked photos. So to make matters worse, this pressure escalated about 3 months later in June 2008 when there was one questionable cover of Vanity Fair starring Miley, where photographers had her wrapped in a blanket and posed with her back to the camera. She's looking over her shoulder and she had on a red lip. It was shot by Annie Leibovitz, which is a pretty big deal when you think about it. But at the time, I remember this being absolute headline fodder for the press, and people were slamming Miley and her parents for allowing a 15-year-old girl to pose in such a quote-unquote suggestive way.
It's so weird. Sorry, just to butt
No,
in.
please.
It's so weird that all the adults in the room are saying it's so suggestive, but it's like you are choosing to view a 15-year-old in that way.
It's fucked.
Like, it's only suggestive if your brain is going there.
Yeah.
And it's in no way her fault.
Well, that's what's so crazy about this is that she was blamed. Like, sorry, she's a child. Like, maybe if you really want to get technical, have some issues with her parents or have issues with the adults in the room, but don't make a child apologize, which we will get to right now. So, Miley was forced to apologize essentially to her fans about the cover, and her statement said, "I took part in a photo shoot that was supposed to be artistic, and now seeing the photographs and reading the story, I feel so embarrassed. I never intended for any of this to happen, and I apologize to my fans who I care so deeply about." Years later, Miley rightfully rescinded this apology.
Good for her.
Literally good for her.
They can all fuck off, and when they get there, they can fuck off some more.
Tell him, Mad Dog. Anyway, she just did a fist pump. Recently, Miley reflected on this photograph in a series called Used to Be Young on TikTok to launch her latest album. And she reflected on what was actually happening behind the scenes. So I think we should hear it from Miley.
Yeah, hit it.
We gotta go there. 2008. Everyone knows the controversy of the photo, but they don't really know the behind the scenes, which is always much more meaningful. My little sister Noah was sitting on Annie's lap and actually pushing the button of the camera, taking the pictures. My family was on set, and this was the first time I ever wore red lipstick because Patty Dubroff, who did my makeup, thought that that would be another element that would divide me from Hannah Montana. This image of me is a complete opposite of the bubblegum pop star that I had been known for being. And that's what was so upsetting. But really, really brilliant choices looking back now from those people.
Oh.
So yeah, I think she's right. The styling's absolutely right. It did separate her from that. And I think the issue here was people are not okay with child stars growing up, especially women. It's just objectification.
We hate it here.
Yes.
On the grill, anyone who objectifies a child.
Literally fucking
Sizzle, sizzle.
put them in
Actually,
the bin.
go to jail.
Fucking go to jail. That's the thing. Or just leave her alone.
Leave Miley alone.
Ugh.
But before we continue with the timeline, it's worth discussing why Miley would have been forced to issue an apology, even if she didn't exactly mean it. She was clearly following the directives of the higher-ups.
Yeah, so at the time, Gary Marsh, who was the president of entertainment for Disney Channel worldwide, was quoted to have said, "For Miley Cyrus to be a good girl is now a business decision for her. Parents have invested in her godliness. If she violates that trust, she won't get it back." Which is so bananas to say.
It is a weird thing to say. And also pointing out now that Gary Marsh is now the president of Disney Channel full stop. Like, he's made it through the ranks.
Yeah.
Whether he still holds these views is another thing.
Totally.
But, it's those views that got him there.
I guess so. I guess we can say a yikes to that. But while it is a bonkers thing to say, this was a very evangelist time for the Disney Channel. And generally speaking, it was a path that many child stars turned adults took to avoid the prying eyes of the press by pretty much just saying that they're very, God-fearing young people. So Miley, Selena, and even the Jonas Brothers, including Nick Jonas, were wearing purity rings and really peddling this good Christian child narrative and family-friendly values. Selena Gomez even went on the record at the same time of Miley's photo shoot, sharing with Extra why she was wearing a purity ring. Here's an article published on Just Jared, which is one of the OG gossip mongers online. "Selena Gomez, no sex before marriage," the headline read. Selena Gomez, the star of the Disney Channel's Wizards of Waverly Place, plans to practice abstinence until marriage, reports Extra. The 15-year-old tween sensation, who was on the fast track to becoming the new Miley Cyrus,
Oh, God.
I know, has declared she won't be having sex until marriage. Selena declared, "I said, Dad, I want a promise ring. He went to the church and he got it blessed. He actually used me as an example for other kids. I'm going to keep my promise to myself, to my family, and to God." The bonkers thing about this is I remember reading this in a magazine when I was at the doctor's.
And what did you think reading that? How old were you? 13, 14?
Younger. I was like 10 or 11, I think. But I also did not grow up in a religious household whatsoever. So I thought like the purity ring thing was a bit much.
Yeah. It's not really something I ever understood.
No, not at all. So when we think back to this period, pop culture was in a really, really different space. And I think it's important to highlight this because when it comes to the Disney Channel specifically, this is when its popularity was skyrocketing. In the early 2000s, Disney started to pivot away from animated shows and reruns and instead focusing on original programming and live action sitcoms like Wizards of Waverly Place and Hannah Montana. The shift was also an attempt to broaden the appeal of the channel, seeking to build on the success of earlier shows like Even Stevens and Lizzie McGuire. And as Disney's influence grew, so did the pressure on its stars, with young actors expected to play roles both off and on the screen.
That's a lot of work for a kid, isn't it?
It's beyond, really.
Yeah, literally. With this being said, this meant that the Disney executives were making huge decisions on behalf of very young actors, most of whom would have done anything to land a role on the channel. And obviously, this creates a very clear power imbalance, with teens often expected to toe the company line. This obviously included things like wearing the purity rings and promoting squeaky clean personas, even if it didn't reflect who they really were. And when that carefully curated image eventually started to crack, this wasn't good for anyone. Not the actors or the fans or the parents who may have bought into the illusion.
So when you recontextualize the feud between Miley and Mandy and Selena and Demi with that in mind, it's easy to see why they may have, quote unquote, acted out, because living under that kind of scrutiny and that level of control would have been incredibly constricting.
Miley, of course, has been super vocal about this throughout her career, but one of the earliest examples of her pushing back actually came the same year her back and forth with Demi and Selena all went down. On June 17, 2008, Miley released 7 Things, a very angsty song from our Disney princess about her relationship with Nick Jonas. And just in case you needed some real confirmation that the song was in fact about Nick, in the video for 7 Things, Miley was sporting one of Nick's diabetes dog tags while singing that she hated things including his insecurities, his friends, and the fact he liked another girl. Could he be referencing one Miss Gomez?
Could this be explaining the bad blood between the pair?
I think it might. And as I mentioned, this song was pretty big for the time. Miley called in a slew of very angry teenage girls to sing along with her for the music video, including Nicola Peltz-Beckham, which is kind of fun.
That is fun.
She wasn't obviously singing about the Beckhams, although they have beef.
Foreshadowing.
And this wasn't all without a little aha moment, because around the same time, the Jonas Brothers released Burnin' Up, which was some sort of raunchy love song. As raunchy as you can be when you're 16.
Great track, though.
And the music video for Burning Up premiered on Disney Channel on June 20, 2008, and the video featured one Miss Selena Gomez.
Oh, we really should have been keeping an eye out for Selena.
Raunchy. Hang on a minute, that's funny.
I'm surprised we haven't said it yet.
And shortly after, the girls were due to film a special for the Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana crossover, which is a lot of crossovers.
It is, because it's also got like the Sprouse twins with their
Sweet
like
Life
Sweet
is-
Life on Deck after it was Sweet Life and then they went on a boat.
Yeah, yeah, they're on a cruise.
Can you tell that I did not have Foxtel or the Disney Channel? I'm like, those precocious twins are doing stuff in places.
Anyway, this crossover aired in 2009, but the girls were reportedly beefing so bad that they didn't appear in any of the same scenes together.
That's rough.
You're like, I can't even be in the same room
Very
as her.
diva antics.
I don't want to look at her. This is all according to Jennifer Stone, who played Selena's bestie Harper Finkel in Wizards of Waverly Place. It was like high school, like they both dated Nick. I think Miley dated him first, then Selena dated him, and then it was just messy high school nonsense. And Jennifer said this with co-host of the Wizards of Waverly pod, David DeLuce.
David DeLuce.
DeLuce, maybe? Anyway, David DeLuce played the dad in Wizards of Waverly
Gotcha.
Place. Yep.
Okay. While the girls denied any feud between them, the eldest member of a certain band of brothers, the Jonas Brothers, and of course Kevin Jonas, hello Kevin,
Hi, Kevin.
he had something to say. Kev took to the streets of New York in August 2008 sporting a t-shirt which read Team Demi and Selena in gold letters. Do you like that?
No, I hate it.
I hate it.
And I knew you were going to say that you hated it.
I kind of asked you that so I could say that I hated it.
I was talking to one of my colleagues who was a Disney fan.
Yeah.
way back, and she said that she actually bought one of these Team Demi and Selena t-shirts. But that's the thing as well. A 13-year-old girl is going to buy into that beef, and she is going to say, I am Team Demi and Selena.
Yeah, because it's the cultural capital of siding with these things. And we've seen many times these t-shirt little PR things happen. There was like the biggest one that I can remember was like Team Brad and Jen. People had those t-shirts, and it's a very capitalist venture of shitting on women, if you ask me.
It's true.
But also, like, okay, I don't think this was just Kev Dog coming up with this. I think this was very much like a publicity stunt. And I think it's really diabolical of Disney to allow it. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yes.
So Miley did eventually go on to kind of apologise to Selena and Demi. In an interview with Popstar magazine, the Disney icon reportedly said, I mean, if we offended Selena and Demi, we're super sorry. But we were, like, just having fun. She then doubled down on the comedic aspect of the video, adding, that's our Mandy and Miley thing, to be funny. They were being funny on their show, and besides, Elvis says imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So we were, like, imitating them, you know, like being funny. How do you think I went with that?
I think you've said it perfectly.
Thank you.
We were like being funny.
We were, like, being funny.
Yeah. Being funny as I shit on you.
Pretty much. So no matter what you think of these videos, it's very, very clear in hindsight that, and everyone really acknowledges, that this was petty drama. And even the major players themselves acknowledge this now. In a 2016 interview with W magazine, Selena opened up about the beef with Miley, telling the publication that it wasn't, in fact, beef. She said, we never feuded. We both liked the same guy when we were 16. It was just a Hilary Duff, Lindsay Lohan thing. Oh my God, we like the same boy. We are now completely settled in our own lives. So for reference, Selena is alluding to a beef between Hilary Duff and Lindsay Lohan when they had an infamous love triangle with Aaron Carter in the 2000s.
One of my favourite love triangles.
Really?
No.
Okay. So from there, though, the beef between the pop girlies seemed to fizzle out, and Demi, Selena, and Miley ended up becoming this weird girl gang for a time. Mandy, of course, goes to do her own thing, which I actually think is for the best, considering she was old. But, of course, there were some more friendship breakdowns in that one. But we don't really have time to get into the ins and outs of that today. So how do you feel about the whole Mandy and Miley friendship thing now that we've got the whole picture?
I think initially I thought it was a bit off, but you managed to steer me into a this is perfectly acceptable kind of. But I'm sticking to my guns here. It was off.
It was 100%
Something
off.
a bit off about that one.
No, I've come around because I think that personally speaking, I think the only reason that she would do a YouTube channel, a 20-year-old with a 16-year-old, is for clout. Unless she was being that big sister. Like when I was 20, I didn't want to be friends with those 16-year-olds.
No way.
I was just trying to be like, go piss after sex. I don't know, like genuinely.
That's the type of big sister advice we need.
No, truly. Like that was the shit that I was telling them.
It's like she should have known better.
That's what I think. I find it really yucky when like a 16-year-old has a romantic relationship with like an 18 or 20-year-old because of the amount of growth that happens in those years. You know, and so even like with a friendship thing like this, Mandy should have known better.
Definitely. And I think we probably do have to acknowledge as well that those YouTube videos are the only real evidence of a feud between Miley and Selena and Demi.
Yes. Like we're clearly reading into this, but we're not the only ones.
No.
I think this was like a lot of discourse.
Absolutely. And Selena also played Hannah Montana's nemesis, Michaela Skeech, on the show for a few episodes. And then there was that moment on the Bangers tour when Miley sang F you while holding a cardboard cutout of Selena she had grabbed from the audience.
Okay, that's tea.
Right?
That's tea. Like I know Bangers was bonkers at the time. Like that whole movement was to elicit attention.
Wasn't it also 4 years after this beef as well?
I don't know the time frame whatsoever. But I do know that Bangers, I think, was like, she really was, Miley, at this time, trying to completely sever any ties with her good girl persona. This had already been started with Can't Be Tamed, because even just the subtext of that song is like, Disney, fuck off. Yeah. So Bangers was about separating herself from this squeaky clean image once and for all. Even the act of cutting off her hair, I think we've seen in the past with people like Britney Spears, has often been a signifier, like, this is a new era, this is a new me, and it's a rebellion on the typical feminine values and feminine image that we've seen in the past.
Totally. And I don't think we should discredit that even though those original YouTube videos were super intense, I guess the way people responded to the whole thing really just highlights how eager the public is to pit young women against each other, especially when it's over a guy. Like I said, men ruin everything.
Amen to that. And I think even the media coverage at the time really leaned into this. So at one point, HuffPost characterized their feud as a catfight.
Meow.
Literally, which is such gendered language. And we've seen the phrase catfight throughout the ages when we're referring to celebrity beef involving women.
What is the male equivalent?
Oh, that is such a good question.
Cockfight.
Cockfight? I think cockfight is good, but if anyone has a better suggestion, please put it in the comments because I have no idea. But
Because what we're getting at is it doesn't really exist.
no, that's what we're getting at. Thank you. Totally. It's also this whole catfight thing is a pattern that we continue to see today, especially with people obsessing over the dynamics between various famous, talented women. Like, for example, Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber, because they're fighting over Justin Bieber, apparently, allegedly.
Apparently. And even, as you mentioned, Ange and Jennifer Aniston.
And they're still getting headlines. Like, every once in a while, you'll still see a Jen and Brad headline pop up.
Yeah. And Brad is long gone, baby.
Yeah, we're over Brad. Brad is done. On the grill.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also think that it is worth mentioning that this is the first time that Disney fans were able to see this new side of their beloved icons. Because at this stage, we hadn't really seen behind the scenes before. We'd only seen them on screen and then maybe a pat picture. We weren't used to the social media, which didn't exist then, really. We weren't used to them having to have this authentic image that stars have to have now and is perpetuated on social media.
Yeah, totally. And I don't think we should forget that teen mags were also running polls at the time.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Between who would win, like Demi v. Selena, like who would you rather be friends with? Who's going to... I'll actually get it up.
Yeah, let's get it up. Let's get it up. Like, oh, yeah.
First one.
Here we go.
Are Nick and Selena a perfect match? A, yes, 60% said yes. B, no, 40%.
And there's a quote underneath that from Emily, who's 16, which says, "They have so much chemistry and they're adorable. They make a great couple. It would def last." Well, Emily, it didn't.
What about whose BFF clique would you rather be in? Selena and Demi's 77%, Miley and Mandy's 23%. And the quote down here from Tiffany, who was 16, S&Ds, they're down to earth and have been BFFs for so long, they'll always have each other's back. Well, Tiffany, they're not even friends anymore.
Yeah, Tiffany.
Anyway, we've
I
just
hope
ragged
they're
on
well.
16-year-olds. But to be fair, these girls are probably older than us.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
they're
they would
writing
be.
into this magazine. Anyway, moving on. At the end of the day, given how much the tabloids had access to and the fact that they were often tipped off by insiders about what was going on.
Yeah.
Having Selena, Demi and Miley on YouTube gave them a real glimpse, gave fans rather a real glimpse like into what their life was like.
Yeah, and fans felt like they actually knew them instead of seeing them only as characters on these shows, right?
Exactly.
When you add the whole good girl Christian values into the whole Disney thing at the time, it becomes even more juicy beef between them and more divisive, especially since Miley was going through controversy after controversy with the leaked photos and then the Vanity Fair cover, none of which were her fault whatsoever. Meanwhile, at the same time, Selena and Demi were on the up and up, and they were kind of fueling this beef, by the way, with the quotes, very strategic quotes they were giving to the media at the time, which weren't exactly about the feud, but you could easily read into it that it was.
Exactly. And I guess, yeah, at the end of the day, the back and forth on YouTube may have come down to petty teenage drama, but it also showed, I guess, how quick we are to pit young women against each other and how eager we are to kind of watch it all unfold.
Yeah, I think you just hit the nail on the head there. Like, that's perfect place to end because that's really what this is.
Yeah. Well, that's on that.
That's on that.
And I guess that's all we have time for today.
Thank you for listening. You can listen to High Stakes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at High Stakes Pod.
Love ya. Bye.